Hey everyone, it's Ryan Hahn with Small Business News. I got a good one for you today. My clients are dealing with inflation just like everybody else. While it isn't going up as fast, it does still have an effect on prices as a whole. However, that's not the only inflation that my clients are dealing with. When it comes to compliance with government regulations, that inflation never seems to stop. And we're going to talk about it today. For those that don't know, this is the program where I share just some of the information I share with my clients every single day. I'm a business coach who works out of West Michigan and around the country, and I hope to earn your subscription today. All right, well, let's get into it here. As always, links are going to be in the description down there, so be sure to check this out. This is from Fast Company. Compliance inflation is crushing small businesses, and this is something policymakers can absolutely manage. This is by Tomer London. This is the Chief Product Officer for a payroll service called Gusto. Now, the U.S. is known for being an incredible place to start a business. Everyday entrepreneurs can create jobs, contribute to their communities, and foster innovation. They're not slowing down. In 2023, we hit a 20-year record for the most new businesses formed despite rising economic inflation. And that's something we talked about on this program a few weeks ago, that it was a new record, and that was up from the previous year, which was also a record as well. The number of businesses being opened, especially small businesses, is definitely increasing. Now, with that, most of those are side hustles that people are having, but regardless, they're still businesses because a large number of great businesses that exist today started as a side hustle. So that's awesome. Now, there's another type of inflation that's less visible, as we talked about, and it's that compliance inflation. Small businesses need to navigate a vast, complicated, and ever-growing web of regulations and requirements. Every year, a staggering 15,000 new laws get passed at all levels of government. That's your state, federal, local levels. And it's something that I cover here pretty extensively with the NFIB, which is the National Federation of Independent Business Owners. They are a lobby and advocacy group for small businesses. Same thing with the Chamber of Commerce. And they're constantly talking about the different regulations and laws that are there and making sure that they're speaking up for the business owners in the area as well. All right, so let's get back into it. Now, this individual speaks with business owners across the nation regularly and across the board. Dentists, flower shops, tech startups, and restaurants all want to be compliant with rules and regulations, and the cost is crazy. The average small business spends 200 hours and $11,700 per employee per year on compliance. And that doesn't even include any financial penalties they may get for not following the regulations. And then now the author points out some key ways that policymakers can help get compliance under control. Simplify outdated requirements. For example, some states still require a wet signature on paper documents. Seriously, it's almost 2025 and you still require a wet signature. That's just crazy. Other states enforce outdated laws where notaries must witness authorization form signatures in person. It's a thing, guys. I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. A notary, it's a check and balance that they have as a consumer protection versus a ease of use. I know it's a pain, but that's one of the reasons that they have notaries. It's really to protect the consumers. Another example they have here is the way the IRS deals with EINs, your employer identification number. When you submit that to your payroll provider, they take it, they submit it, they do their thing. If there's an error in what was submitted versus what your actual EIN is, it may take a couple months to realize the reporting on your payroll wasn't going to the right spot. And what ends up happening is because of that delay, there are fees and penalties that can be assessed. Once they identify the issue, the IRS sends you a CD-ROM through the mail to say, hey, you need to go ahead and get us the right answer. It's absolutely crazy. You end up having to pay fees and penalties, which they can waive, and they do for the most part, but it's still something you have to spend time on. There's costs associated with that you then have to get undone. The author mentions here has to do with the beneficial ownership information reporting requirement, which is, again, quick reminder, we talked about that here on the program. That is where when you have an LLC, you have to file with the state. It's the states manage corporations. However, the feds at one of their criminal divisions, they want a database of all corporations and everybody who's associated with them. And I think it has a lot to do with RICO laws and everything because it slows down their investigations and then they have to prove through warrants and everything to get that information. For me personally, the more time it takes the federal government on those type of inquiries, I'm actually a fan of. So I'm not a big fan of this beneficial ownership information reporting. However, I did it myself. It takes like 10 minutes. It is what it is. The next piece here is they talk about, which I think is really great, is the trying to streamline the overall regulation process. You have to register at multiple state agencies, multiple local agencies, and then also with the feds. It just takes up time. It's something that the feds wanted to look into to streamline. It would definitely be helpful for small businesses. Again, it would just be more of a change than what we're currently used to here in the US. The next spot we got here, models to support small business compliance. I love this, where it's positive rather than punitive. Here's the example they use. Minneapolis launched a new paid leave program for lower income workers. Once the deadline passed, they saw many businesses were out of compliance. So instead of penalizing or fining them, Minneapolis's city council launched a pilot program for payroll and bookkeeping services. So what they did is they saw that businesses were having a hard time getting compliant with this. So rather than coming and fining them and just beating them up, they said, let's create a program to actually go into these businesses and help them get compliant. And it was great. And it was very quickly adopted and got those businesses compliant, because we want to make sure that the low income workers are getting some paid time off. That's really what it comes down to. So links are going to be in the description down there. And those last two statements I thought were really important for policymakers to understand. I'm a elected official here in my municipality. I'm on a school board, and I'm also a trustee with our local municipality. Those two things. One, make sure you're talking to people. You should be talking to the end users as much as possible. It's super important. Anytime that we do ordinances, we're looking to spend money at the school for updated equipment, we always pull everyone in, as many people as we can, to talk and listen and try to craft whatever we're doing so that it meets or exceeds what the end user is looking for. And the last point, where you want to be supportive rather than punitive, is also where we work time and time again with all of our constituents around here. If they're having an issue, they can't get compliant, we work with them to make sure that we can help them versus beating them with a stick. We want to hand out carrots. At the end of the day, if you're in business, you want to be compliant so that you can continue to run your business, the thing that you want to do. And policymakers need to work with small business owners to ensure that is where their focus is at, to help those business owners be compliant so that they can continue to have their businesses, which is where the government gets their taxes from, but also they provide the vast majority of employment for Americans today. So with that, thanks for watching. Hopefully I earned your subscription. Take care, and I will see you next time.